Well, hi, good morning. Thanks so much for joining me in my shop here. It's the last day of July, and rather than carry on with the receiver and the record player, I thought it might be more fun today to take a look at this thing. The receiver and the record player, they're a little too much like work, but this looks like fun to me. Now, there's lots of these kinds of things around, right? It's just an old TV antenna, rabbit ear type antenna, and here's one of them. I've never had my hands on one of these sorts of things before, and I've always been very curious about what's inside it. Is this for real? Is this a serious thing that they've done here? Look, this can turn. And of course, the rabbit ear parts can rotate, and they're pretty long. These are pretty long guys here too. And it has this control. What is that doing? Doesn't feel like feels like it's come loose inside or something. Something in there. It's called the Archer Color Eagle. Color spelled the American way. Let's take a look at the back here. I already noticed that on the back, where the cable comes out, there's an opening for another cable to come out. I suspect there should be two coming out of here. One for the lower television channels, probably on the rabbit ears, and one for the higher television channels, 7 to 12, maybe on this. Or maybe this is for UHF. This is probably for UHF. Now, on the end of this wire coming out of it is this box, but I have the feeling this box has no business being here. It says VHF 2 to 13, UHF 14 to 83. Yeah, that's how it was. It has a connector here, and it has a piece of wire, what I think was another piece of wire coming out of this. So I think originally, I'm going to take it off here, because I think this is dumb. Somebody's just put this on here without much thought. I think this probably how would this work? I don't know. I don't think this is part of it. I'm going to set that aside. And of course, this is to convert the impedance of the line from 300 ohms to 75 if you should need such a thing. Let's look inside this. This is like a lifelong thrill coming true here for me. Doesn't take much to thrill me. That's the deal. Slide this up here a little bit. Well, there's no. There's a metal plate here. The screws should be in here. They're missing. The plate's not falling off. So I think maybe what's happened, somebody's peeled this back, maybe taken the screws out, or maybe they fell out. And I'll bet you there's just screws on the other side. Screw. Another screw there. Okay. Let's get rid of those. What could possibly be inside here? Da-da-da-da. Oh, it's all wrecked. Look at this. We're not going to know what was really inside here. Oh, what has somebody done? They've hooked up the 300 ohm lead themselves. One line on here and one line on there. This is this fancy. This is the part I was really curious about. The oh so fancy space age part there. All gone. Here's the switch. No wonder it didn't feel right. I wonder what that was switching. Looks like there's. This one looked like a resistor. That long trace here going around, 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 or maybe that's supposed to be a bit of a coil. Well, isn't that a shame, man? The mystery is going to remain for me. But at least I know how this is working. This is basically a rabbit ear. And these are soldered on. So as ugly as it is, it's completely effective. So I have a nice pair of rabbit ear antennas. They would work good on FM. This is a very heavy plate, probably to give this thing some stability. Or well, that's kind of a drag, isn't it? I thought something exciting was going to happen during this, and, something to write home about, but no. Well, it's not really worth even experimenting with. There's nothing to experiment with, really. It's just an antenna like any other. Very, very simple thing. Isn't that disappointing? So how did I get this? Somebody has given me a box, mostly of vacuum tubes, a small box of vacuum tubes, and this was in it. This was on the box. A little bit disappointing. Okay, let's see if we can get some interest out of this thing. So I think what this is I was going to say, you put your VHF antenna on here, you put your UHF antenna on here, and then they're combined onto one cable, but what good would that be? Because TV's never worked with one cable on both. Let's see what's in here. What mysteries can be found? Well, it's a little more to this. I'll bet you some of the leads from here come up. I bet you this is them right here. And there's no way to take this board out without desoldering these. I'm not going to bother with that. So we see there's definitely some small parts in here underneath this board. What they are, we don't know. It's probably some kind of filtering. What for, I don't know. It doesn't say input or output on it. Once again, another disappointment. I can't take the board out without wrecking this thing completely. What good is it anyway? I don't know. I guess even though this wire is cut away here, I guess you could plug it in there and do something with it. What would you do with that today, in today's world? You'd stick it on a YouTube video. Okay, maybe this is a video of doodads. Here's a doodad. So these are quite common. The idea is you're watching your TV and the picture has become so dull you have to turn the lights off in the room to see it. That's when you need one of these. And what you do is, on the back of the picture tube, you pull the cap off. It would look like this. You pull the cap off. You put this one on. And then you take the cap that was there and you put it on here. And instantly your picture will be brighter. And from what I understand, almost all these do the same thing. They transform the voltage up a little bit on the heater of the tube. They just run the heater inside your picture tube at a higher temperature. That raises the cathode temperature and brings it a little bit back to life. Give you a little more emission, and then you get a little more brightness on the TV. So, useful today? Well, not really. Hey, let's see what else I've got here that's just useless. Why do I even have it? Okay, how about old things that tell a bit of a story? Check out this box. Now, what year is this box from? I don't know. Electron tube. Must be late in the electron tube period. So this would be probably the late 60s. Don't really know though. The Master IOM series. A 12AT7, that's a fairly common tube. Master Series, International Electronics Corporation, New York. Guaranteed performance, guaranteed long life, guaranteed 2 years. 2 years of long life. And this nice tube. Now the tube that's in here is not the original tube. It's what's in here, and I don't know why, because this just came to me. It's just 4 vacuum tubes. I don't even know why they're in there. But look at this. You flip open the top, you get a guarantee of 2 years. This Master 10M electron tube is guaranteed for 10,000 hours of effective performance within the 2-year period from the date of purchase. 10,000 hours. So if you did 10 hours a day, that'd be 1,000 days. 1,000 days is 3 years. So it's good for. So basically, you can leave this thing on 24/7 for 2 years. I think is what they're trying to say here. Should this tube fail to perform effectively within the guaranteed period, a new tube will be replaced without cost upon return of the defective tube to your authorized dealer from whom you purchased it, or take it all the way to 81 Spring Street, New York. Distributor from whom purchased. Of course, it's not signed, so it's not valid. People were pretty concerned about how long is that tube going to last, but this was their Master Series. And I wonder what made it a Master Series. I'll take one of those, please. Okay, let's see if I can find some more semi-interesting things to look at here. Okay, here's a little piece that I acquired. No idea where it really came from. I just have it. Here you see it. What is this all about? So you'd have to guess it's some kind of splitter arrangement where you have 2 things and then you have one going out. I mean, that's kind of what it has to be. These connectors have been, they're converters. They convert to this very small kind of connector. So it has this relay on it. And the relay pushes on 2 plungers down in there. Plungers go inside this block. You have to guess it's a switch. It's either going on or it's going on. They don't know which way it's doing its thing. It's pushing a switch on this side or a thing on this side, and so on there. Some words written on it here. DK 300 11605 volts 6 AC. That's probably referring to what voltage you put on the coil here. It has a resistor mounted right here. Very nicely done too. One end of it is screwed down to the frame or the box. The other is connected to a terminal sticking out here. Back on the other side is exactly the same thing, only reversed. Yeah, exactly the same. This post is lining up with the center here, so you can imagine it goes in and connects to the center, the conductor terminal. The resistance here is gray, green, black. And what's that? That's 850? Or no, that'd be 85. 85 ohms. The other one's the same. Number here, 136. It's something you can unscrew there. Hey. Maybe I've ruined it now. Can you even see in there? This camera's not doing a very good job of it. Oh, you need to see this. Okay, let me get my other close-up camera here. Switch over to it. I'm going to move the switch. What feels like when I move this, what feels like a very uncertain operation looks pretty certain inside there. So it's switching from one to the other. That's what it's doing. One or the other. And when the switch is not touching the center post, it's grounded out. Cool. Okay, do I have an application for this in my house? Well, I could probably make one up. I do have more than one antenna. It's an interesting thing. I guess you could put this out kind of remote. Like you could have this, in the case of me as a ham radio operator, I could have this in my backyard, switching between antennas right up at the antenna itself. I have to box all this in, of course. Okay, I'm gonna go look for more interesting stuff. Okay, last thing to show. This is a real classic pair of very old headphones here. Headphones, I guess that would be for a telephone operator would use this. And for the first time, I think I'm realizing the microphone is missing in this. Huh. How do you like that? I've had this for a long time, but I don't do anything with it, of course. Yeah, the microphone's missing. Those are the two contacts. And the microphone's like a button you drop in there. Well, that's too bad. Good thing I didn't try using these. I wonder if the earpiece should still be in there, shouldn't it? Looks like it is, yeah. Yeah. So a lot of early telephone stuff, the earpiece would pop out. I guess probably to make a replacement easy to do. Looks like it has a clear dust cover over it. Five 1066. Is that possibly a year? 1068, 66, 68. The contact part is actually raised just a wee bit here. And you can throw it in any old way and it's going to make contact. There's no key on it. Looks to me like you'd have to put it in this way. Put it in the other way, it wouldn't make contact. That's kind of odd. Not the most comfortable earpiece. I don't think there was ever any rubber around it. Not adjustable. Really? No, not adjustable. That's the adjustment right there. That's pretty tough on the head. Boy, you had that on your head for a while, that would start hurting. So, this is kind of an unusual arrangement how they've done this. So it'll move a little bit. It's quite stiff. So you set it, and it stays there. This will turn a bit. They're all lined up on you. This must go up and down too. Maybe you loosen this off. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this without loosening that a little bit. A couple of small screws in there. Look how they strain relief this. You have a metal bracket that's quite stiff, screwed on there, clamping the wires. Doesn't look like it worked out so well for this. Looks almost like this has been spun around somehow a couple times, but pulled pretty tight in there, but still good. That's another thing. This is pretty old, but this is as flexible as can be. Very often the flexible materials that were flexible, in 1940 are stiff and cracking today, but not this. get to the business end here. NE, big X, 396A. See, they've done the strain relief here. They just made kind of a plastic fitting to, I guess, limit how far you can bend it. It's not particularly good, I don't think. But then again, here it is. So obviously this has got to be like the earphone and the microphone on a separate thing. Probably for telephone. This is probably for telephone purposes. Be the telephone operator. My mother was such a operator, the kind that sat at a big panel where you know, you had Bill's wire and Fred's socket, so you stuck Bill's wire into Fred's socket. That sounds terrible. That just sounds terrible. But okay, well, I think that's the end of my interesting stuff. That's all I've got that's interesting here. Okay, here's one last thing. So, you know, when you run a shop like mine, you have to have some light bulbs handy to replace. Light bulbs inside of stuff. But how about a light bulb like that? Oh, wow! Look at this baby. Oh my gosh. I don't think there's anything on here to identify it or suggest where it might be used or anything. There's no writing on the top here. So here's how it's been structured. Running up the left side here is a very stiff rod. Runs all the way up, gets caught on the top in a fixture that's stuck to the top of the glass here. So that's the rigid support member. And you have the actual element right in the center running up with a series of cross pieces to support it with little insulating beads of probably glass so it doesn't short out basically. Then you use the long rod to be one of the supply conductors to the top, and of course the other down at the bottom here. Now, my guess is this light is, oh, there's a label right here. There is a label. Sawmill 500 watt. Base horizontal. Base, well, it says Horiz, which must be horizontal. 120 volt, General Electric. 500 watt light. So that's like a street light or something of that sort, isn't it? My gosh, 500 watts. Wow, you can cook your dinner with this guy. For sure, it's in good shape. I mean, I can look at it and you can see the element very clearly. Those elements in there, and I don't know if it's true of this one, but other elements, if you look very closely at them with like a magnifier or maybe even a microscope, you see that it's a coil of a coil. So the wire is spiraled, and then they take that and they spiral that. So when you look at it very closely, you end up seeing that it's actually much finer than it appears to be. I don't know about this one, but 500 watts. Well, I don't think I'm going to turn it on. Hot diggity dog. I thought you'd like to see that anyway. Those are the weird things that I have. What am I ever going to do with this? Make a video of it. That's about all. Okay, now I'm done. Thanks a lot for watching these silly things.